Welcome to the 2018 Paper 2, the Leaving Cert Ordinary level. We're on question 4 here. Now, as usual, I suggest you pause the video at the appropriate sections and give the question a go. If you want to set these notes I'm working off with the answers on the next page, just send me an email at shanetroy@gmail.com, and that email address will be in the description below. So question 4 here, we have a circle. It looks like a quarter geometry question. The points A, 1 on the x, 8 on the y, and the point B, 9 on the x, 0 on the y, are the endpoints of a diameter of the circle W as shown in the diagram. So we have our points A and B, and we have the circle labeled W. Part A then says, find the coordinates of the center of W. So we have the two endpoints of the diameter. So the midpoint of those 2 points will be the diameter, the center. So let's go straight to the answer here. I've labeled the 2 points here, x1, y1, x2, y2. I've also written in the formula, and I'm just making sure that I put the points in the right place. So you have, instead of x1, you have 1. Instead of x2, you have 9. Instead of y1, you have the 8 here. And instead of y2, you have the 0. Okay, so now we've just a matter of going and simplifying, working from top to bottom, okay, left to right. So you have your 1 plus 9 gives you 10, and the 8 plus 0 gives you 8. Finally, our last little bit is just do the division here. 2 to 10 goes 5 times, 2 into 8 goes 4 times. Now remember, the midpoint is the halfway point between those things. So you're basically getting the average of the x's and the average of the y's, okay, which is basically what the formula is doing. That formula is given to you in the maths tables. Now the next part then, so part B says find the length of the radius of W. Give your answer in the form of p squared q, where p and q are elements of n. That means p and q are both natural numbers, which means they're positive whole numbers. So whatever way you get your answer, you just need to give it in basically square root form, or surd form is another way of saying that. Now we're asked to find the radius, okay? So we could find the diameter and then have it, okay? Or we could use the newly found radius we have from part A and calculate the distance between either point and that center point. I think that's the way I've decided to go. So yeah, so I have my distance formula, which again is given in the maths tables. So I write out my formula, write out my 2 points, so they're right in front of me, label them the first x point, second x point, first y point, second y point. Okay, so now I know exactly which numbers go in the right place. So it's just a matter now of placing them in there. So again, I'm using the formula. Instead of x2, I'm putting in the 5, which I've labeled. Instead of x1, I'm putting in the 1. I'll simplify that in a minute. I'll keep going. Instead of y2, I'm putting in 4. Instead of y1, I'm putting in the 8. Now, all my numbers are positive, so when they put them in, they don't necessarily need brackets, because the signs won't change. But if I was given a negative number here, it might be good to put that negative number in brackets, because the minus here by a negative number would change it positive. That's a common error with the question. So let's go left to right now. Okay, I'm going to do inside the brackets first. So 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 minus 8 is minus 4. Then I'm going to come along and do the powers next. Okay, so 4 squared is 16, and negative 4 minus 4 squared means minus 4 times minus 4, which is plus 16. Lastly, I'm going to add the two things. 16 and 16 is 32. And now that's my answer, but that's not in the form of something times square root of something. Now, if I put it to the calculator, it will simplify it for me. Okay, the simplest thing you can have there is 4 times the square root of 2. Okay. Now, what I could have done here is, I suppose I'll do it here just to do it the long way, okay? Now, square root of 32, that is the same thing as the square root of 16 times 2. Okay? Now, there's a rule of powers which says, if I'm square root of 2 things multiplied, now I've created the situation of 16 times 2, but so I can apply the rule of powers, which says that that's the square root of 16, excuse me, bad writing here, or bad text, whatever, times the square root of 2. Okay, now square root of 16, okay, it's supposed to be a 1. Square root of 16 is 4, okay, times, now I'm not going to bother writing the multiplication symbol because it's built in. Square root of 2, you can't simplify that, so I end up with 4 square root of 2. So that's in the form of p times square root of q. P being 4, q being 2. Okay, so that's part B. Now I should say this here, or should you put in the word units, okay? Even though you're not given units, there are units involved. So just to acknowledge that, okay, because a mark can go missing because of that. Now part C and D here, okay, part C is worth 10 marks and part D is worth 5 marks. I realized hadn't put the 5 marks in here, so I just put it in there a second ago. So excuse the jump in the video. So part C here says, hence write down the equation of the circle W. Okay, now there's a formula given in the maths tables, okay, and that involves the equation of the circle. And I'm going to go straight to the answer here, okay, so we can show it. Now this is the best formula to use, okay. So H and K are the center. Now we were given them, we found it rather, the center 5, 4. And the radius is what we found in part B, which is the 4 square root 2. Or you could use square root 32. You don't have to use the form you left it in. Now, one thing you shouldn't do is go decimal, because decimal will put you off and lose marks due to a rounding error. So I put in my 5 instead of H, my 4 instead of K, and my 4 square root 2 instead of R. Okay, so everything else stays the same. Now, the only thing I need to do now, if I leave my answer like that, I'll lose marks, because they always want this radius actually to be squared. So I've done it here. I've done the opposite of what I did in the last thing. So that square, people always make this mistake, they apply it only to the square root. It should apply to the 4 and to the square root. So we end up with 4 squared times square root of 2 squared. Now 4 squared is 16. Square root of 2 squared is 2. The square and the square root cancel. You're left then with 16 times 2, which is 32. And that's where my 32 went. You don't need to expand this x minus 5 squared or y minus 4 squared. Okay. A lot of students in this year's Leaving Cert did that and just made life hard for themselves unnecessarily. Now, the equation of circle questions are generally just like the usual coordinate geometry questions. Very, I won't say formulaic, but like, you know, they're easy if you know your stuff to do well in. So knowing that, it's a question that you should prepare well. If it comes up, which it almost always does, you know, you're going to at least be getting good marks with that knowledge, and on a good day getting full marks. And I'll go back a second, okay, so part D here says, find the equation of the line that is a tangent to the circle W at A. Give your answer in this form. We'll worry about that at the end, okay. So you have the circle, okay, you have your point A, let's just say it's there, okay. So at that point, there's a tangent running, that's supposed to be a tangent that cuts the circle at one point only. Obviously, it's terrible, but if I were just drawing, that was our diameter. That circle is perpendicular to our diameter. So if we find out the slope of our diameter, because we have 2 points, we can then just invert it and find out the perpendicular slope and use that to find the equation of the line. Remember, to find the equation of a line with the point and slope form, you need a point and a slope. So let's go straight to the answer here. So I'm finding the slope first. Okay, so the slope of AB, that's the diameter. I haven't actually labeled my points here for some reason. Normally I would. That's my x1, y1 point, my x2, y2 point. So I put my y2 value, which is 0, this one in. I put my y1 values. So y2 take away y1 is 0 minus 8. My x2 take away x1 on the bottom is what, 9 take away the 1. Okay. So the formula filled in, then just do the maths, okay, top, then bottom, left, right. So 0 take away 8 is negative 8, 9 take away 1 is positive 8. So minus divided by plus is minus, now 8 over 8 leaves you with minus 1. Now the perpendicular slope, to find the perpendicular slope, you just turn the slope you have upside down and change the sign. So if I write that in the form of minus 1 over 1, so if I invert that, it becomes 1 over 1, so nothing actually changes, and that sign becomes positive. That's where I ended up with this positive 1 here. Now, very few people made the right decision there. In the exams or scripts that I marked, maybe I shouldn't say it, but invariably the scripts were left as minus 1, and that slope was used in the next point. So you drop down from 5 to 3 straight away. Anyway, next thing you're going to use the equation of the line formula. Again, that's given in the maths tables. All these formulas are. I need a slope and a point to be able to calculate it. I could pick either 1,8 or 9,0. Okay, I'm going to pick, sorry, actually I have to pick 1,8, sorry, because the line goes through 1,8, so it doesn't go through B. so my bad. So I have to use A, and the slope, the perpendicular slope I figured out in the last little bit was +1. Now, when in this formula, you only put in the terms with the little number attached. So that's my x1, 1 is x1, 8 is y1. Okay, so I've done that here. Y take away y1, so y take away 8, equals the slope of 1 multiplied by x take away x1. That's x take away the 1 here. Now I'm going to simplify it by removing brackets. So I'm going to leave the left-hand side alone. 1 times anything is itself. So 1 times x is x. 1 times -1 is -1. Now I'm bringing everything to one side because they wanted the form of ax plus by plus c. So everything on the same side with the x being positive. So to achieve that, I'm going to leave x where it is. So it's because it already is positive. Move the -8 across. That becomes +8 going across the equal. Adds to the -1 to give +7. The y comes across and becomes -y. Job done. So this should be the end of question 4. Yeah, okay. So thanks very much and see you on question 5.